Hi, it's Andy K, Yard Sales Arena, here with Uncle Vinty, the Vintage Tool Man, with our yard sale finds for Saturday, October 27th. Well, we went out to an estate sale outside of, I guess you would call that Upper Marlboro, and it was out on a little bitty country road, and when we first got there, they just had a few items out on a table, and I said, uh-oh. We started to turn around and leave, and I'm really glad that we didn't, because inside the house and the shed, they had some fabulous items. So let me start off. I'm going to try to present these to you the way that I bought them so I can try to keep it straight. This first grouping up here I paid $85 for. I got two fabulous old antique oil lamps. This one back here I believe is a Coolidge drape pattern antique glass oil lamp. It's worth about $50. The other one over there is Sherwood LTD copper oil lamp with a double burner. That would have hung up on the wall. And that particular company was only in business up until 1904, so it dates before that point in time. I don't have a burner here that is that size, but I have lots of burners, so I'm sure I have a burner that would fit that. It's chimney, thank you. Sorry. And that is also worth about $50. Also picked up a neat old brass alcohol blowtorch. Thank you, Uncle Vinty. This railroad light.
It's a Delta something.
Delta Power Light lantern. It has a patent number. I read online, World War II era, minor, maybe railroad or military lantern. They were probably used for all of those purposes. It's worth about $25.
Takes a 6-volt battery.
Yeah. And then look at this. I picked that up. I thought that was really cool. That's a little miniature electric generator, and it has a patent date, April 27th, 1897. We looked online and we saw one that wasn't in this good of condition that sold for $60 just recently. So I just love that. It actually works.
It's missing the crank.
It is missing the crank, but we were able to crank it, and it does work. I got a Crown emblem, 2-gallon neat old antique crock, a neat old cheese box, and a Charlie's pretzels. Charlie's chips, but they're pretzels. Anyway, this is old. We saw one of these at another yard sale, and they wanted $10 for it, and it actually had a barcode on it. Can't be that old, but this one's actually quite old.
So they were in business not too long ago.
Right.
They may still be.
They may still be in business. Anyway, I paid $85 for all of that. Then she had furniture and some other stuff, and I walked in the other room, and I don't know if you guys can see this. Can you get a good shot at that, Uncle Vinty? Yes. That's a U.S. neat old antique mailboxes. There's 9 of them on there. Now, a few of them are missing the glass, but it's thin glass. It's easy to cut. We're going to stick it in there, and of course you can buy the decals. It's a red one and a gold one at any craft store and stick them on. So I'm going to repair that and put the numbers in there. I just love that. I paid $20 for that. Well, after I had bought this, Uncle Vinty came in and said, "You've got to go out to the shed. There's something out there that you would like." I said, "Well, did you tell him I want it?" And he said no, and I was flipping out. So I got to the shed. This was the thing that he knew that I would want. We're going to clean it up and stain it so that you can read the writing a little bit better, but it says favorite brand, Dobson Manufacturing Company, Rockford, Illinois.
It's Rockport.
Rockport, Illinois, and we paid, I think, $25 for that, and the swinging churn's worth about $200. Anyway, so this was there, and then I looked up on the wall, and he had a 2-man saw that actually has a name on it. Do you remember what the 2-man saw was? Atkins, number 8, 2-man saw. And then he had a bow saw. He had this neat old rake. He had 2 boxes, this Burpees seed box, and then this really interesting, it says Sanita's Toasted Cornflakes, Battle Creek Toasted Cornflake Company. Now, that company evolved into Kellogg's. In fact, in 1922, they changed their name to Kellogg's. So that box dates to somewhere between 1906 and 1922. So I think that's a really neat old box. And for all of that, oh, and whoops, I forgot though, the Anchor brand Wear Well Ringer. For all of that, I paid $160. And it's worth a lot. What did I add up? Close to $600 there. So, wow. So I was just all excited after that. We managed to somehow put all of this into the car. Oops, I forgot something. One of that $160 lot, and this is really cool. This they had up on a loft. Look at this thing. It's like a scythe, but then it's got these sticks coming out, and they call this a grain cradle. And I read online, and the older gentleman who was there explained to me that they used this like a scythe, but they used it for wheat and things like that.
Grain.
This would lay the, what do you call
Grain.
it? The grain.
Wheat, grain, whatever.
Wheat.
Oats.
In the stalks, though, in a nice row, so that they could dry and then they could be harvested in an easier fashion. So this was quite the thing, but I can tell you it's quite heavy and a little bit unwieldy to attempt to use. But they call this a scythe with a grain cradle, or a grain cradle scythe. Anyway, I think I paid $25 for that, and it's worth about $100. I'm keeping that. I love this. This is the kind of item that I just love. So all of these are going in my collection up on my wall. And this actually isn't even the end of it. When we came back, we actually had to go to the bank because we ran out of money. When we came back and were paying up for the rest of those items, we found this, what do you call it, Uncle Vince?
It's a dolly.
A dolly.
It's got wood wheels.
It's got a wood wheel. Someone made that, I'm sure. And then we got that, and we got this. They said it was a lunch pail, but it's got these holes in the top. I'm thinking maybe it was a minnow for minnows. I don't know. Anyway, they said it came from out west someplace, and a hunt cap for $15. And then we went back in the house, and I found some Roy Rogers collectibles. Too bad it's not signed, darn. But we didn't pay much for it. A couple plates and a picture of Roy Rogers. I grew up with Roy Rogers. And some really neat old advertising pieces. The woman who had lived there was really into horses. Like I said, it was a farmette. And there's some interesting ones here. This is a Rolling Rock from copyright 1939. This is the Blue Cross Fund. This was actually from World War I. It was like the Red Cross, but they collected money for the horses that were injured in the war. Here's an advertisement trying to get people to buy their calendars and use the Pin-Up Girls. That's probably from the 30s. Maybe the 40s. This is some sheet music at the Post, and an old Mobil gas after the war. They're saying that you want to make sure that you use their gasoline because you want to protect the life of your car, because you might not be able to get a new one until 2 years after victory, after the war is over. So for all of that, I paid $15. So that's it. Whew! What a day. I was on a high. A picker high. In fact, the next day I said, I think I'm suffering from post-picking depression. But I've recovered. And we'll be back next week with more yard sale finds. See you then. Bye-bye.